Today we are with
Aisha McIntosh.
and Aisharel. What is your position here at Fred Victor?
So my position is a community advocacy peer lead. I work with some of the peers and advocates at Fred Victor.
And what are we celebrating here today?
So today we are celebrating Black History Month. It's a 2-day event that we're having at our 40 Oak site, and we just finished our first event, so yeah.
And what were some of the things that happened today at the event?
So today we had a sense of community. There were a lot of diverse group of people that were here. We also did a keynote speaker who had relations and ties to different social injustices that are happening in the Black community. We've also had 2 spoken words writers and creators that came in and kind of helped to tie the event together. So that's what we did, and a band.
It was really nice. The poetry especially was really nice. What do you think is the importance of celebrating Black History Month?
Well, I think the importance of celebrating Black History Month is to highlight some of the contributions that Black individuals in the past and currently has contributed to Canadian society. I'm happy that not only this month kind of highlights all of that, but it tends to bring together a sense of community, finding people or kind of getting insight into different individuals that you've probably never even known of, or what they have contributed to the Canadian society in a whole. So it was really good, just kind of like bringing everybody together to help celebrate.
Was there anything that stood out to you about this year's celebration that was maybe different from previous years?
What stood out to me, I'm always open to diversity in a sense of community. I think that like with Black history, I don't think it's necessarily that Black people specifically have to celebrate Black history. It's just like a different group of people coming together to kind of helping to celebrate some of the contributions that Black people have made to society or to their community in general. So I really like the sense of like diversity, the love, the vibes, everything was there. So yeah, it was pretty good. I like that.
Nice. Okay, thank you so much, Aisharel.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank you.
And please welcome Regent Park.
All right, let's start with the chant. If you could hear me, repeat after me. Say, Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. I feel like a bunch of people in the back can't hear me, so we're gonna try that one more time, and hopefully the people in the back can hear us this time. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, let me hear you say, Black lives, they matter here. 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 Say, Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Say, Black lives, they matter here. Black lives, they matter here. Make some noise for yourselves. Cool. So good afternoon, everyone. As we gather here today, I want to begin by acknowledging that we're on the traditional territories of the Mississauga of the New Credit River, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. As treaty people, we have the responsibility to honor and respect this covenant and to recognize our role in continuing stewardship of this land. So let's remember the importance of solidarity and support for the rights and struggles of Indigenous communities as we discuss activism today. I'm particularly moved to be speaking with you here in Regent Park. It's a neighborhood that holds deep, you can hear me? It's a neighborhood that holds deep personal and historical significance for me. My great-grandmother migrated from Jamaica with her 9 of 11 children and made her home right here in this community. And like many Black families, seeking new beginnings. Regent Park was where we started to build a life in Canada. And remarkably, my great-grandmother, she's still with us, is a living testament to the resilience and determination of our community. However, like many Black families who were foundational to this community, they were eventually pushed out and displaced further and further east, landing in Scarborough. Seeking affordable housing and a safer environment for her family, that's why we moved to Scarborough. This narrative of displacement, while not unique, is a critical part of our collective history, reflecting on the broader patterns of gentrification and systemic challenges faced by Black communities. The last time that I was here, not in this exact room, was right before the pandemic in 2019. Around then, my focus was looking at the often overlooked plight of Black prisoners in Canada, a group disproportionately affected by incarceration and systemic injustices. It's crucial to highlight that our discussions on Black Lives Mattering must encompass all Black lives, including those behind bars, those without homes, and the people that are frequently left out of our discourse and advocacy. So this conversation today is about justice and equity and the very fabric of our society that demands our attention and our action. As I stand here before you today, I'm mindful that our audience is very diverse, comprising both Black people and our allies from various backgrounds. And this talk today is more of an invitation to engage deeply with the realities of Black activism and Black liberation, recognizing that our struggles and our triumphs are interconnected. For my Black brothers and sisters, this is a reaffirmation of our power and our place in the world. And for our allies, this is a call to action and an opportunity to strategically orient yourselves towards supporting Black liberation in meaningful ways. Like the stars in a boundless sky, we each add our light to the shared darkness of our struggle. And so today I want to explore the transformational power of Black liberation movements, a power that not only challenges oppressive systems, but also has the profound ability to improve life materially for everyone across all spectrums of society. Our journey through this discussion will look at how these movements serve as beacons of hope beacons of hope and calls to action amidst war, occupation, genocide, climate catastrophe, and the ravages of unchecked capitalism. As we embark on this exploration, I want to start by revisiting the pivotal moment in our collective history, the 1992 Yonge Street riots in Toronto. But before I jump into a bit of a history lesson, can I ask how many people in this room have heard about the 1992 Yonge Street riots? No one. All right, this is all going to be very useful and helpful information. Okay, so it's a story that, like many Black activists, I refer to deliberately as an uprising rather than a riot. And this distinction is crucial, not to shy away from the reality of property damage, which I think can be an important and valid tool in our struggle, but to center our focus on the display of outrage and despair that fueled this event. It was a manifestation of a community pushed to its limits, demanding to be heard and seen, and it was a clear demonstration of the transformative power of our collective action. Those B's and P's are hitting really hard. I'm saying, that's fine. So in discussing the Yonge Street uprisings, we're not just recounting events, we're acknowledging the strength and the impact of our community's response to injustice. This uprising and others like it underscore the potential of Black liberation movements to enact real, tangible changes that benefit not just Black communities, but society as a whole. So, in the early 1990s, I was born in 92, so I definitely wasn't alive and conscious in this moment. But in the early 1990s, the struggle for Black liberation and justice was not only a local one, but also a global outcry, much like it is today. As we delve into the pivotal chapter of the 1992 Yonge Street uprising in Toronto, it's important to contextualize it within the broadened spectrum of Black activism, including the significant events unfolding in the United States at that time. And so the Black Action Defense Committee, who here's heard about the Black Action Defense Committee? Okay, we got a couple more hands, that's good. So the Black Action Defense Committee, led by Dudley Laws, Charles Roach, Sharona Hall, Lennox Farrell, Akua Benjamin, among many others, emerged as a response to systemic police violence against Black people in Toronto, a narrative that was tragically mirrored in the United States. The acquittal of police officers who had viciously attacked Rodney King in Los Angeles a year prior to the uprising in Toronto had set the stage for an international reckoning with racial justice. At the time, LA was burning, and it was a vivid testament to the global frustration and the demand for change. In Toronto, the deaths of Michael Wade Lawson in 1988 and Raymond Lawrence, among others, at the hands of police, served as a catalyst for the Black community's outrage. The acquittal of officers involved in Lawson's shooting underscored the systemic failures of justice for Black lives, echoing the frustrations felt across borders. And so now fast forward to May 4th, there was a peaceful march and protest that began at the US Consulate, which is just on University Avenue, and it moved towards City Hall. And the march was not just a demonstration of our collective expression of grief and anger and a demand for accountability. The march was not just a demonstration, but it was a collective expression of grief and anger and a demand for accountability from the government. After the speeches at City Hall concluded, people participating in the protest still felt that there was unfinished business, that they were still upset and angry and hadn't seen the needle moved. And so these folks participating in the protest began moving on their own towards Yonge Street. The march north was deemed unlawful by the police, who started to then descend on the march, and it led to a confrontation that escalated into the smashing of windows and riots and looting all along Yonge Street. The moment of the uprising was a critical point of inflection. It was a manifestation of our community pushed to its brink, demanding attention of the state in ways that a peaceful protest really could not. It's easy to dismiss the riot as a senseless looting or as destruction of property, but in truth, the riot, or better yet, the uprising, was a significant element in the quest for Black freedom. And these kinds of uprisings trace back to slavery and the abolition of slavery. These manifestations serve as a stark reminder of the community's limits to oppression and a powerful demand for systemic change. Now, I kind of want to focus on what happened in the immediate aftermath of this uprising. It saw the appointment of Stephen Lewis by the Ontario New Democratic Party, or the NDP, to analyze the riot and to offer recommendations. Lewis's report, which often just regurgitated a lot of the reports and findings before, actually ended up leading to immediate and impactful changes. It led to the implementation of the Youth Summer Employment Program and job training programs, increased funding for agencies serving Black people, the creation of mechanisms to combat the alienation of young Black individuals from Ontario society. It led to the creation of the Special Investigations Unit, which was supposed to be an oversight body for the police. And these changes marked a significant shift towards the state admitting that anti-Black racism was a problem, and then finally addressing the systemic issues and contributing to the marginalization of Black and other racialized communities. And so I would say without these uprisings, these transformational steps will probably have never occurred. In the wake of the 1992 uprisings in Toronto, a profound transformation began to unfold within Canadian society. So the changes that emerged from this program continue today as huge pivotal programs like the Canada Summer Jobs Program, which can trace its history back to the 1992 uprising. And it serves as a testament to the far-reaching impact of Black liberation movements. These programs, conceived in the crucible of activism and advocacy for Black community, have grown into major institutions that benefit all young people across the country, regardless of race. This phenomenon is not merely incidental, but it is a fundamental principle of social justice movements. As Sandy Hudson, does anyone here know who Sandy Hudson is? Okay, the same people that knew who Dudley Law is. Okay, all right. So Sandy Hudson, she's a co-founder of the Black Lives Matter Toronto movement and Black Lives Matter Canada. And Assata Shakur, I'm not going to ask who knows Assata Shakur. It's going to break my heart. But Assata Shakur both articulated over the course of their organizing, when our efforts are concentrated on elevating the conditions of those of us who are the most marginalized and violated by the state, we inadvertently raise the floor for everybody. And so this principle underscores the interconnectedness of our struggle and the universal benefits of addressing systemic inequalities at their root. Black liberation movements have historically been at the forefront of challenging oppressive systems that affect not only Black communities, but society as at large. By focusing on the most vulnerable, these movements uncover solutions that have broad applicability, promoting equity, justice, and liberation across the board. The redresses won in the aftermath of the 1992 uprisings are a prime example of how targeted action can lead to widespread societal benefits. Allying with Black liberation movements, therefore, is not just an act of solidarity, but a strategic investment in the well-being of our entire society. It is an acknowledgement that the liberation of Black people is intrinsically linked to the liberation of all people. The advancements and protections that we fight for within these movements set precedents that protect and uplift everyone, creating a more just and equitable future for future generations. In essence, the fight for Black liberation is a fight for human rights. It challenges us to envision a world in which no one is left behind, where the solutions we implement for the most affected among us serve to uplift us all. This is the power and the promise of allying with Black liberation movements. In raising the floor for the most marginalized, we elevate our collective humanity. Despite the progress and the victories achieved through our decades of activism and the conditions that catalyzed the 1992 Young Street Uprisings, or despite the progress and victories that we've achieved through our decades of activism, the conditions that catalyzed the 1992 Young Street Uprisings remain distressingly intact. The names of Michael Elgin, Frank Berry, Jermaine Carby, Andrew Loku, Abdirahman Abdi, Regis Korchinski-Paquette, and many others stand as somber reminders of the ongoing struggle against systemic racism and police violence in Canada. These are not isolated incidents, but a part of a broader pattern of injustice that mirrors the violence faced by Black communities in the United States and around the world. The birth of the Black Lives Matter movement and its Toronto chapter in response to these injustices marked a pivotal moment in the fight for Black liberation. The movement's response to the murder of George Floyd in 2020, in particular, ignited a global outcry and a series of uprisings that transcended borders, uniting people across the globe in a shared demand for justice and systemic change. The impact of the Black Lives Matter movement and the uprisings following George Floyd's murder extended far beyond the immediate context of police brutality. Serving to radicalize other social and labor movements. The years following the uprisings around George Floyd were actually characterized by workers across various sectors striking to fight for decent wages, for paid sick days, and equitable working conditions. And that can be seen as a direct consequence of the momentum and the confidence that workers built through participating in Black liberation movements. As the movement evolved, activists within Black liberation movements began to take aim at the myriad of ways in which state violence and neglect were claiming Black lives. The COVID-19 pandemic laid bare the systemic inequalities that disproportionately affected Black workers, many of whom were deemed essential, yet were left without access to paid sick days, adequate health and safety equipment, or the luxury of working from home. These workers that were on the front lines, many of us in this room, were the people that faced heightened risk, not just from the virus itself, but from the systemic disregard for their health and well-being. The radicalization of labor movements in the wake of Black Lives Matter's resurgence is a testament to the power of collective action and the importance of intersectional solidarity. It shows us how the fight for Black lives is fundamentally connected to the broader fight for justice in an equitable society, where all individuals, regardless of race or economic status, have the opportunity to live with dignity and security. As we come to the close of our time together, I want to reflect on why the story of the 1992 Young Street Uprising is not just a chapter of history, but a beacon for our path forward. The uprisings and the Black liberation movements that fueled them offer us profound lessons of the mechanics of change. They teach us how we change things in this unjust world that we live in, on how we can challenge and ultimately transform the systems that seek to oppress us. These movements have shown us time and time again that when we come together, when we harness our collective power, when we raise our voices against injustice, then we can force the state to take notice. The response to the 1992 uprisings, however incremental, was a testament to the ability of organized grassroots activism to push for and enact change. It is a clear demonstration that when people unite for justice, even the most immovable structures can be made to bend. In today's world, where the cost of living is soaring and the wealth gap continues to widen, where our governments participate in and turn a blind eye to ongoing genocides, where are experiencing firsthand the deepening crisis of climate change, the lessons of Black liberation movements are more relevant than ever. We find ourselves at a crossroads, facing challenges that can seem insurmountable. Yet, it is in these moments of hardship that the roadmap laid out by Black liberation movements and other oppressed peoples shines the brightest. These movements teach us that liberation is not just a dream, but a possibility achieved through solidarity and perseverance and the unyielding belief in the dignity and worth of every individual. They remind us that the fight for justice is not a solitary, but a shared one, and that in the collective struggle, we find our collective strength. As we move forward from our gathering today, let us carry the spirit of the 1992 uprisings, the resilience of the Black Action Defense Committee, the transformative vision of the Black Lives Matter movement, and let us remember that the road to liberation is paved by those of us who dare to imagine a better world, and then who work tirelessly to make it a reality. I started with a chant, and so I want to end with a chant. And this chant is one that we would do at the end of our actions. If you've been to a Black Lives Matter Toronto action and you volunteered, you probably got roped into doing this chant. And it was written by Assata Shakur. It's a poem, and it's more than just words. It's a call to action. It's a pledge of solidarity. It's a declaration of our shared destiny. And I want you to repeat after me, okay? I'm gonna get quiet so that people can hear me. Okay, I'm not gonna get that quiet. Okay, so repeat after me. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. Can't really. You hear them? Can you hear them? No, it's pretty quiet. We're gonna try that one more time. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. Does it sound like they believe it? They don't believe it, eh? No. We're gonna try that one more time, okay? Don't leave me up here by myself, right? It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. One more time. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. This poem, this chant, this promise that we make together today, it is a beacon that guides us forward. As we leave this space, let us carry the spirit of these words in our hearts and in our actions, and let's remember that our fight for freedom is bound by our love and support for one another, and that together we have the power to break the chains that bind us. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share this space with you, and for engaging with these ideas, and for committing to the ongoing work of liberation. The journey ahead is long, but it is one that we do not, and we will not walk alone. Thank you.
Thank you, Regine. That was amazing. Give it up for Regine. Come on. Woo! Amazing. Thank you for those beautiful words in the spirit of Black history. We are moving on to our spoken words, and we have two beautiful, amazing, and creative writers that are going to be sharing with us. Thank you for your wonderful speech, Regine. For our spoken words, we have Miss Shauna Dixon. Shauna Dixon is an organizer at the Workers' Action Center. a workers' rights organization based in Toronto. She focuses on communication and membership development, working to engage and empower workers in the struggle of workplace justice. Without further ado, please welcome Shauna Dixon. Thank you for having us. My name is Shauna Dixon, and this is Loretta Fisher, and we're from the Workers' Action Center. So I'm going to begin by reading a brief explanation of Loretta's first poem. I'm a poet. Actually, I'm sorry, I forgot. I need to read the introduction for Miss Loretta, who's a published poet, by the way. Thank you. Loretta Fisher is a social change advocate, a member of the board at the Workers' Action Center, and a published author, also writing for Spring Magazine. Loretta writes voraciously with a view to exposing systemic barriers hidden in plain sight. Her latest works can be seen in the new 2024 book series called Enslaved, A Chronicle of Resistance. And here's a brief explanation of her first poem. The planting of sugarcane, the harvesting, and the entire process of cultivating sugar played a large role in colonists dehumanizing an entire race of humans from Africa. European colonists chose this abusive practice of enslaving African people for enormous profits. Sugar plantation owners used this enslaved labor to produce sugar as inexpensively as possible. The resulting inhumane conditions for enslaved people on sugar plantations were particularly brutal.
Enslaved people's labor and the rise of the Western Empire are intertwined so tightly, while enriching only one side, with generations of genocidal and torture-based labor forced on Africans by white business moguls fully in favor, leaving the biggest bitter aftertaste for long centuries later. A targeted race, rewarded only with whippings and sorely grieving. Today, more subtle yet still unfair cuts leave us bleeding. Like sugar addictions, racial tensions also refuse to subside. I prophesy now to 2025 is a crucial time for everyone to unite as allies. I don't think taking my mask off helped. Did it? Can you hear me? Okay. It's time to rise up against capitalist bosses who plan to privatize. If our boss won't protect workers, why should our boss be surprised by the employees' need to protect ourselves and our right to unionize? Black and brown and indigenous peoples, and also some unracialized, so long oppressed by harmful policies, but finally opening eyes to clearly recognize that many stereotypes are made up of lies. The truth is, capitalist utilization leads to brutalization. Elites use their power to oppress workers of every nation. People must discover for themselves if it's really true that not standing up for us means they won't come for you. Begin by learning the past and facing the current ugly reality. Bias systems perpetuate a toxic base for racial inequality. Unfair labor policies see more of us pushed into poverty. Our own human rights are quietly taken away on any given day. Our students should not be cash cows. They deserve more than minimum pay. Bright young minds become bitter being used in this awful way. No one's children can thrive being characterized by stereotypical lies. If elite rulers plan their wealth but fail to plan a future for our kids too, even their progeny suffers paranoid side effects, which is nothing new. As long as you can hear my voice, right? Sorry if the paper is covering. A police state, and a litigated state means armies of lobbyists, lawyers, as well as cops. Nothing more than injustice galore as compassion and empathy just stops. Instead, let's stop the addiction of ruling class greed at the top. Thank you, that was my first poem. Thank you. My second one is about the lasting legacy of slavery that all of society, all of us, are still grappling with now, as some people co-opt our martyrs and twist their words into misinformation about there being no more racism today. We also push back against the lie that there's no clear connection between capitalism and racism. There is. My poem is called To People of All Creeds and All Ethnicities. All the history books need to be inclusively updated so that everyone's true role in it is clearly stated. Although it's painful to see how much we've been hated, Louis Riel, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Malcolm X, brilliant leaders brutally gone. Yet today, they're applauded by their killers for their words of wisdom. Although the legacy of colonialist elite is sadistic enslavement, the legacy of our martyred leaders is resistance carried out bravely, inspiring all of us to keep up resistance to capitalist brutalizations. Our socialist justice movement is built on the ability to share their awesome imaginations. Imagining a brighter future, their ability to hold on, plus share brilliance with the whole nation. Martin Luther King had a dream, but racial hatred is still endured in history class. Capitalism's modern Jim Crow is wielded now as much as in the past. Face it, but work to erase it, so we can let freedom bells ring at last. But know that ultra-rich elites in power will never drink to our health. It's no paid sick days for us, because we might take back the Commonwealth. Then again, we should, since it was built by us and it belongs to us. Go figure. Corporations siphon the bulk of worker-produced wealth into CEO's salary of 6 figures. To protect their loot, they need loads of well-paid police to pull those peacekeeping triggers. I mean, is this how Canada wants to be seen, as a well-oiled war machine? No coincidence police budgets eat more cash than any other service. No accident media is expected to bring racial tensions to the surface. Tensions turn into hate crimes and more cops and more nervousness. The resulting status quo violence at play shifts the blame onto us. Sanctioned perpetrators get off freely for instigating a disturbance. So finally, here is my Black History Month and every month of the future year plea to work with more activists than ever in solidarity. People of all creeds and all ethnicities, sign up now, please, to fight this fascist beast. If working class stops fighting with each other, then our power will finally be released. Global social justice movements can manifest into real justice. Real status for all can fix the economy. Real status for all can fix the economy for all, leading to a lengthy outbreak of peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Loretta. So I just want to share that the Workers' Action Center, where we're from, is building a multiracial movement for decent work, including paid sick days that Loretta mentioned, that Regent mentioned.
That would be nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nadira. So the Workers' Action Center is building a multiracial movement for decent work, including paid sick days, at least a $20 minimum wage for all, an end to wage theft, and so much more. And we know that decent work is connected to full immigration status for all, healthcare for all, affordable housing, affordable childcare, and all the basic things that workers and our communities need. All of our struggles are connected, and all of us are connected. So has anyone heard this chant? All of us or none of us. 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 One more time. All of us or none of us. Yes, that's the spirit. So the poems I'm going to share are to inspire us to join together and use both our differences and our common experiences to fight for justice. There are more than 8 billion shades of perspective, and for each one, the objective is to gain a clearer vision of the incisions that have been made within the human race, severing ties for frivolous reasons like just because skin tones thrive in different seasons, separating the rich from the poor, the yin from the yang, God's creation from the Big Bang. The laws of nature and science are one. The truth is waiting for us here. There's nothing new under the sun. Unity is a must, or else mankind returns to dust. We need to elevate our minds, gain higher levels of perspective. Our destiny as the human race is not subjective, but there are different paths to the destination. Choose the road you wish to go to find spiritual levitation. In these times of survival, I recognize the threat of death is not my rival. It's a revival of the tribal knowledge, not primitive, but superior. Our so-called progression only leads to the inferior, because the wise man knows that the struggles we fight are worth it, that fighting back builds us up, helps us grow, though we know we don't have to be perfect. Understand that each failure is a lesson, each symbolic death simply adore, leading into a classroom, a new life not lived before. But we won't graduate if we keep failing the classes, brainwashing the masses. Let love be our glasses, abolish spiritual blindness, teach loving kindness. Without truth, we're just mindless, a dysfunctional diaspora of human beings, none of us thinking, none of us seeing. So we put on our specs and face the rising sun, combine all different perspectives, and the truth will equal one. Thank you. This next piece is just one Black woman's perspective on the crisis we face today and how we might build a better future. This is not our first affordability crisis, not the first time our pockets weren't deep enough, not the first time we couldn't buy a house in their neighborhood, and not the first time that times got tough. There's a history to this struggle, but know that our resistance is just as long, just as wide, just as deep, just as powerful and strong. This is nothing new, same different inflation rate. Workers of color suffer while the privileged sneer from behind their community's gates and blame us for our own troubles, as if raising the minimum wage to a level still below the poverty line is a good excuse to raise prices. Please, you better believe those who set the prices created this crisis. But we are not surprised and refuse to bear the guilt. We know that this is the house that anti-Black racism has built. From the start, it was a dilapidated shack that doesn't care which precious souls it traps. From the indigenous peoples still aching from a genocidal attack, to everyone who has tried to live here since, every shade of brown and Black. As long as the greedy elites can enjoy the big house without reflecting on the suffering they cause so they can hold on to their clout. If we want to take hope and make it real that we have overcome, then we can't forget that our fight first begins with love. Never forget that it's all of us or none of us. 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 Only together can we rise above. Because the evils that befall my people do not discriminate. Racism and xenophobia do not hesitate just because someone isn't Black like me. It's plain to see we're all connected, from the first stolen and enslaved Africans to the seasonal agricultural workers and caregivers who replaced them. From those Africans, Caribbeans, and more who came through immigration, to our multiracial movement for status for all and PR through regularization. This is the house that capitalist racism has built. Let's burn it down without a shred of guilt. Because we've never been at home here, but we've learned to survive. We want more than survival. Let's build a home where we all thrive. My people have a spirit of resistance that's reborn in each generation. Like Sankofa, we look back at our roots with veneration. In order to move forward, beautiful Black futures will be built on the great minds and hearts that came before us. It will be glorious. And that resistance, every person in this room can tap into it too. There's no getting out of this mess unless our solidarity gets us through. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Black History Year to every person here, because we're all one human race. Thank you for inviting us today.
Okay, everyone, give them a round of applause again. They did an amazing job. Thank you. Amazing. As we come to a close, you can now stay. I see you guys are at the food booth. You can stay to enjoy some nice rice and peas and jerk chicken. You can line up for food, and Snooki Band is going to continue with the music, so you all can dance and enjoy it. Thank you very much for coming. Also remember that tomorrow again we are celebrating Black History, so you are invited to come out again. And thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.
My name is Snooki Tynes, and I'm born right here in Toronto. I am from Toronto. I'm 65 years old next week. I'm 65 years old next week. I was born right here at Bathurst and Dundas. My people came from Nova Scotia. The Blacks in Nova Scotia, I'm going to give you a little history. I thought they were there for 500 years. My cousin said we were there for over 1,000 years. The blacks in Nova Scotia has been there before the Europeans even came into Canada. My great-grandparents are from Nova Scotia. My great-great-grandparents are Mi'kmaq, Indian, and Inuit. That's how long we've been in Nova Scotia. I took a trip down there, and it was amazing. Nova Scotia, the people down there are beautiful, all people. But my history is Canada, going right back to the beginning. This lady, Viola Desmond, on the $10 bill is the first black woman to be on Canadian currency. My uncle in Vancouver is 97 years old, and he knew her. He used to hang out with her when he was a little boy. I wrote a song about her, and she got arrested because she wasn't allowed to sit up front in a movie theater, because it was not for blacks to be allowed to sit up front in a movie theater in Nova Scotia. 1946, they put her in jail. So she was an accomplished hairdresser and traveled around Canada with her own business, and she was a businesswoman, and they put her on the $10 bill for an accomplishment. She was 10 years before Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks, everybody heard of Rosa Parks? Okay, couldn't sit at the back of the, had to sit at the back of the bus, she refused. Viola Desmond on the $10 bill was 10 years before her. So we finally got her story told from the Canadian perspective. Another perspective, I'm going to make it short. I put some pictures up over here, and there's a boxer on this side. He's from Weymouth Falls, Nova Scotia. That's my mother's great uncle. His name is Sam Langford. He's all over the internet. He was the uncrowned heavyweight champion fighter of the world. Mike Tyson spoke of him, and so did Muhammad Ali. He got no credit because he came from Canada, but he traveled the world. He was feared by every boxer on the earth. They did not want to fight Sam Langford. Go on internet, YouTube, and there's a big piece of history on Sam Langford, who's my great-great uncle from Weymouth Falls, Nova Scotia, Canada. So I put some pictures up here. He ended up fighting out of Boston. He left Nova Scotia and went to Boston, and he fought out of Boston. Then I put some other pictures up here, and this is my family. My family was the first black Canadian band. We imitated the Jackson 5, and we played for 5 years at Dundas Square. We did Honest Ed's birthday party, we did City TV. I taught all my kids how to play music, and we had a great time. Now, my favorite picture, ladies and gentlemen, my favorite picture, because I grew up with the Jackson 5. I'm the same age as Michael Jackson, God bless him. I grew up with the Jackson 5. That's why I have a lot of Jackson 5 albums. So when I was a kid, there was no internet, there was no computer, there was no cell phone. There was you and a record player. And I grew up with albums and records, and I listened to a lot of Jackson 5 because they inspired me as a young black boy here in Toronto, that I had a license to dream. Tyrone's in my band. There's Tyrone. Tyrone's from England, black English, black British. And his family's from Antigua. Am I pronouncing it right? Antigua. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Our keyboard player, he stepped out. He's born in Toronto. His family's from Jamaica and Trinidad. So we have a beautiful mixture in our band. My posters up here of the band, we have two beautiful people. They're born in Toronto, but their background came from China, and they play in my band. And the bass player's background is Polish. So just so I can close this up, black people in Canada been here, and when you go to Nova Scotia, they said we didn't come here. We were always here. We were always on Canadian soil. They kept us quiet. We learned how to mind our business and get through the day. And that's what my parents told me and taught me. And they talk about police brutality. Yes, there is police brutality. I made it through from a 65-year-old man. I never got shot or stabbed or been to jail. I have no jail record. I don't know. I did no time in jail because I kept myself busy. Escapism from racism. If there's any young black people in here, young black men, young black boys, Join sports. Join music. Find your talent. And that's your escapism from racism. And number one, I know there's not a lot of young black youth. I'd like to talk to the black youth. Stay in school. Number one, your first teacher is your mother. Your mother is very important. The woman is very important, the mother. That's your first teacher. Listen to your mother and father. Stay in school. You'll go a long way in life. Have a great Black History Month. When I was young, there was no such thing as Black History Month. We didn't have Black History Month. Black History Month was me wake up in the morning putting on the Jackson 5. That's all Black History Month I had. Have a great time. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we're going to play. Thank you.
Hello, what is your name?
My name is Ashrafi Ahmed.
And Ashrafi, what do you do here at Fred Victor?
So my role here, I'm the garden and food skill facilitator.
And what were you doing today?
So today we're celebrating Black History Month and Seed Swap celebration. So Seed Swap is our annual event. Every year we done during this time, either February or March, like before the garden season start. So Seed Swap, we are doing people sharing seed, exchange, and pick up seed. And this is really great for the community too.
And do people purchase the seeds, or is it done freely, or?
It's free. So we are part of the Toronto Seed Library. So we are Regent Park Seed Library. So anyone can come and pick up seed, or they can email me and request for what kind of seed they're looking for. And this event is free. So we also partnership different partner agency, Toronto Urban Growers, so they drop off some seed. So everything is free, so no cost.
And what sort of seeds? Are they morning glory seeds?
There is a different variety of seeds. So some are flower seed, and especially Regent Park have a history of urban growing. So people love to grow more food in sovereignty. So it's related with their food insecurity. So they love to grow more vegetables, herbs, and flower, because you can see all around Regent Park is so beautiful during the summer.
That it is. So who are some of the people involved in this seed swap?
So we have a all around Regent Park, almost more than 200 plot. So all our gardener, we invite them to come, and also resident. And we don't say only gardener will come. So any resident who live in Regent Park, even some people coming from outside of Regent Park, and they can come, drop off the seed, and they also pick up the seed. So most of they are all gardener. And it's not mandatory they have to be Fred Victor gardeners. So anyone who live in Regent Park or outside of Regent Park, everyone can come and pick up their seed.
Oh, very nice. And what was the inspiration behind this initiative?
Oh, this is like we find out when couple years before we have a first time this event, we find out people are not bringing seed for exchange, but they love to pick up the seed. Because during the COVID, everything is priced up. And from last 2 years, not enough seed for everywhere. So we save our seed from our garden, end of the garden season. We encouraging our gardener. And also we buy some seed from like large batch vendors, and we sharing with our gardener. And we also encouraging some other partner agency. They're not inside Regent Park partner, they're from all around GTA, so they also coming. Like today you saw Food Share coming, Green Thumb Growings, there are local partner agencies. So everyone coming, like, share their what they reserved from last fall.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. Why did you decide to incorporate that with Black History Month?
Because I just believe Black community also have a great history about planting. They have a history about some specific seed I learned when I first started, and few of my Black gardeners. So they love Kalalu, they love Three Sister planting, so they love some of their traditional seed. So that's why I think why we do the same month to different event. We can do it together, so then we can help each other, and we can celebrate like a seed swap through the Black History Month.
Very nice. Thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go follow us on our social media platforms. And for more information, go check out our website.